when it comes to the Boston Celtics' offense, they're going to have to match Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving's productivity, right? Now, for the most part, Jayson Tatum can hang with Luka Doncic in terms of scoring, rebounds, and then obviously, Tatum's averaging 5.9, almost 6 assists. I think Luka averages like 3-ish more assists than him. His assists have been down a little bit recently as well too. But his rebounds have been staying up there. So now you're matching him in points, rebounds, and assists. And it's on Jaylen Brown to match Kyrie Irving in points, rebounds, and assists as well. Now, when we look at the Boston Celtics, they've been blowing out everyone through the playoffs, right? It's like their margin has been insane. The issue is, though, obviously, lesser competition. Now, I want to take a look at some of this actually. So I actually just let it play through.
The whole first quarter when they scored 24. Brown got Luka up in the air and made it. That play is an igniter, hopefully. Down goes Luka, and the shot by.
And, obviously here I have the Tatum and Brown offense. For me, the key will be, can these two target Luka and Kyrie? Because obviously out of the four players, Kyrie is the smallest one. Tatum and Luka need to be able to post him up, and when they get a chance, they need to be able to isolate Luka Doncic and make him work. And this is something that I felt like the Minnesota Timberwolves, they really struggled, right? Game 1, Jaden McDaniels got off, but for game 2, 3, 4, and 5, Luka was able to just hang out in the corner with him. He could have gotten some soda. He could have gotten some popcorn. He could have gotten a beer. He could have done his taxes. He could have done fucking anything he wanted in that corner because they weren't putting pressure on him. They weren't forcing him to defend. He was able to rest on defense and rest his legs for those shots later on. Right? Like this. Oh shit, I don't even have it. But at the end of this game, Jaylen Brown was literally isolating Luka every single possession, forcing him to play defense, making him, putting the referees in a tough spot. Are you going to call a foul on this star player or not? Right? So, for me, that's going to be a huge part of their offense. Can Tatum and Brown take advantage of Luka and Kyrie in isolation situations? Because now, if they help, Derek White could hit threes. Tatum or Brown, whoever's off the ball, can hit threes. Horford has shown he can hit threes. If Porzingis is back with limited mobility, he could still potentially hit threes. It just opens everything up, right? And we have seen, I've been harping on this a lot about Jayson Tatum, but we've seen him posting up more in the playoffs. attacking the basket, making it a point to not settle for the 3-point shot. And that's the key. They have to make sure that they're not settling for 3-pointers. Right? The Boston Celtics, Jayson Tatum in particular, cannot sit there and chuck up threes all game. Because one, it's contagious. Shooting threes is contagious. One guy starts, another guy, and then all of a sudden the whole fucking team is shooting threes. And then they look up and wonder why they're down 20. It's because you motherfuckers have been shooting threes for 8 minutes straight and you've only made one. And that's how shit like that happens. So they have to be consistent. They have to be cognizant of that. And they, like I said, they have to put pressure on these guys. We saw how Anthony Davis looked at the end of that first quarter. And I don't think it was entirely because of Kyrie Irving, but he was playing Kyrie on defense. Kyrie was putting the pressure on him and he looked exhausted at the end of the game. You would want a similar effect on Luka and Kyrie as much as you can, right? If they're not in foul trouble, make them exhausted. So those step back threes are just a little bit harder. Those shots above people are just a little bit tougher. And that's got to start with offense, right? Their offense has to be their defense, essentially. So aside from them, what does their role players look like? For starters, Al Horford, I'm not even going to count Kristaps Porzingis. He's missed over a month of basketball going into the NBA Finals. We can't be that stupid, right, to expect him to come back and play like the way that he was playing against them. And I get that it's going to hurt, right? We'll talk about that later, but it's going to hurt them. So I can't even count him. The only thing that I guess you can hope for is, like I said, with limited mobility, he can be a decoy and stretch the floor out and hit some threes, or be a threat to hit threes. Al Horford has to hit some threes. I don't want him to live on the 3-point line, but he has to hit some threes. He needs to be able to pull Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively away from the basket. So when Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, so when these guys are attacking, they have space and they're not getting met at the rim by these guys the way they've been doing. Because through the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, I think Dallas has had one of the best paint defenses in all of the playoffs. They've been incredible. They've been gang defense. Everyone gets to the paint, stay straight up. They jump up and down. They've done a great job of that. So Al Horford at the center position needs to hit some shots. It just is what it is. He's going to have to hit some shots. Obviously, Derek White as well, but they expect that from him. Al Horford is going to be a key, right? Derek White, we're going to need him to be able to play make out of the slot. He needs to be able to make the right decisions. He needs to be able to read the floor, read the game, attack and be aggressive when he needs to be, facilitate and get assists when he needs to be. Right? He's a plug and play guy. I know he's typically like their outlet shooter. He's the guy that kind of has the green light to shoot a bunch of threes outside of Tatum. But I think he needs to be a decision maker as well too for them to be successful. And then I'm gonna get into this some more, but Jrue Holiday is going to have to be the ultimate. What have I been calling it? He's going to have to be the ultimate filler, right? Are they going to need him to score? Are they going to need him to get some assists? Defense, he's going to have to play defense the whole series. So on offense, you're going to be happy with whatever he can give you. I'll be honest with you. But he also needs to be aggressive when he does have like Luka on him and even Kyrie.